Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I am your yarn host, Jennifer. Today we are talking about yarn. What else is new? We're doing a kind of an unbagging. It's yarn that I purchased through the mail, but I'm also going to compare it to a yarn from Hobby Lobby. So it's going to be an unbagging, but it's also going to be a contrast and comparison video. Now, to start off with, I'm going to show you the yarn that I ordered through the mail. This is from Universal Yarns. Universal Yarns is the sister company or mother company, I'm not sure which it is, of Premier Yarns. So the yarn from Universal is very much along the same quality as Premier Yarns, except Universal Yarns is more dedicated to being sold in local yarn shops, so small little mom and pop shops. They are a premium yarn, so they are like top of the top yarn and sometimes they have a premium price. Now this one is not horribly bad, it's not horribly expensive. It is a little bit expensive for the fact that it's just anti-pilling acrylic. However, the colors sucked me in, and much like Facebook has a tendency to do, they target you with the stuff that you're interested in. So because I clicked it once to look at the price and the yarn, they kept targeting me with the ads over and over and over again. So I kept seeing it in repeat in Facebook. So it was just teasing me, like, you need this yarn. You know you want it. It's so pretty. The colorway that was drawing me in was, let me tell you about the yarn first. The colorway that was drawing me in was Painted Desert. Now, this doesn't look anything like it looks in the Facebook ads. So had I seen this in person, I probably would not have picked this yarn up. With that being said, it's still beautiful. It's just sometimes the coloring on photographs on websites are not accurate, which is why I think it is so important for podcasters to buy the yarn and show the yarn so you guys can see a more truer representation of the color and the texture of the yarn. Because I feel like a lot of time, and this is as a former photographer speaking, the pictures are sometimes over processed or the settings in which the photographs were taken are a little too strong, and it doesn't show the actual natural colors for the yarn, which is fully the case in this instance. Am I disappointed in the color? A little bit. Do I still love this yarn, and am I going to use it? Absolutely. For a couple reasons. Number one, you guys know I love the national parks, which is why I have a Grand Canyon shirt on today. Painted Desert is a national park. It is one of my favorite national parks. It is a beautiful, multifaceted park. Every time you turn the corner, the landscape completely changes, and it's a sentimental thing. That's why I liked the Painted Desert colorway. The picture kind of represented the park. The yarn, not so much. Anyway, this is Universal Yarns Uptown Worsted Hues. It is 100% anti-pilling acrylic. It is 180 yards, a 3.5 ounce ball. It is a medium number 4 worsted weight yarn. Machine wash cold, tumble dry. Like I said, this is the color Painted Desert. I'll give my camera a second to calm down. That is the color. That is very accurate to the colorway. Parts of this absolutely, to me, scream Painted Desert. Like, this rosy color is very accurate for what the stone formations at the beginning of the park look like. And I will pop up a picture because I have lots of pictures that I have photographed myself. I will pop up some pictures so that you can see what the Painted Desert actually looks like here. All right, so now that we looked at some of my photographs, the color is pretty accurate. It's pretty. It's not what it looked like on Facebook. So, a little misrepresentation there. I am going to say this yarn is incredibly soft. I love Universal and Premier Yarns anti-pilling acrylic. To me, it is top of the line acrylic. It is. This is a reason. This is one of many reasons I am loyal to Premier Yarns. And even though this is Universal and Premier are, you know, they're connected. The yarn is very similar. This ball of yarn is $8 a ball. A little expensive for it being anti-pilling acrylic, which is why I hesitated buying it, and which is why I tried to get a knockoff brand from Hobby Lobby. But we're gonna contrast and compare that so you guys can see side by side. One of the reasons that I am so loyal to Premier Yarns, aside from the fact that the customer service has always been amazing to me, I have worked and talked with several people that work behind the scenes at Premier/Universal. I just really like the company. I do not have affiliate links for the Universal side, so I'm not going to make any money off this video. So this is a completely 100% honest review, which is why there's some negative, some positive. But I tend to be honest in my reviews anyway. I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not a candy man. So, all of that to be said, this is a really nice yarn. The anti-pilling yarn will last upwards of 300 washes in the washing machine and not pill. Now the fact that this says machine wash cold, wash it in cold. It's not a big deal. And honestly, for me, you're gonna get more wear out of it, or you're gonna get less wear out of it if you machine wash anything in cold on the delicate cycle. That's what I do, because honestly, if you're making something, if you're putting hard work and effort into it, you don't want to wash it on hot anyway. You want to wash it on cold. You want to wash it on delicate no matter what it is, because nothing you make is going to be so dirty that you have to wash it on hot. If you make a blanket out of it, if you spill on it, you can spot wash that little spot that's dirty and then throw it in the washer on cold. Anything that you make, that's the rule. So anyway, so I got two in this colorway because this was the colorway I thought I was in love with. And then while I was on their website, I was looking at the other colorways, and this one it was another one where it looked much more vibrant on the internet than what it is. It's more pastel-y. It's way more pastel-y than it shows on the internet. This one is Jacaranda. It's very pretty. It's even looking a little, it's more like this. When I bring it close to the camera, it looks more saturated. It's more like this. It's more like pastel-y. When I bring it to the camera like tries to control the colorway by making it darker than what it is. It's not that dark. It's more like this. It's beautiful though. It's beautiful. I really like it. It's very pretty. So that's Jacaranda. That is lot 3041. Color 3304. And the Painted Desert is color 3306. So I wanted to buy these yarns because I wanted them and because I wanted to show you guys these yarn. Oh, they're so pretty. They're pretty. They're just not what they were represented as on the internet. I'm going to say that. But they are pretty, and they are super, super soft and squishy. The anti-pilling yarn from Premier and Universal is so soft and squishy. I have never had even a slight irritation or itch in my hand when I was working that up. And you guys know that I have eczema. I have severe flare-ups of just skin peeling and blisters and all that good stuff. So this does not at all even irritate if I'm using it for days and days on end. So I wanted to show you that. Now, the yarn that we are going to compare it to was strictly purchased because this is Hobby Lobby. It is half the price. It is the same yardage, and the colors were very similar. They're not the same, but they're very similar So this is the Hobby Lobby. This is the Universal. And I hadn't yet purchased this. And so when I saw this at Hobby Lobby, I was like, it's low pill fiber. It's not anti-pilling, it's low pill fiber. And it looked very similar to the way this looked on the internet. So you guys can see they're similar enough. So I was like, I'm going to try this out and see if it's a good substitute for this. And then when I got it home and I was really feeling it, it's soft. However, there is a toothiness in it. So if I rub it like this, I can feel a little grab on my fingers. My fingers are a little dry, so that this may not bother you, but this is coming from someone who has skin issues. So keep that in mind with all my reviews. I do have skin issues. It makes me drastically more sensitive to the texture and the feel of yarns. I also have sensory issues. So the two of those things are things to consider when I'm giving you my review. There is a toothiness to this. It's got a little grab when I feel it. I'm not going to know till I work up a sample whether I'm going to hate it or not. The color is very similar. It's very similar. It is a good knockoff. The texture is nothing the same. Do you see this one is the Universal, has more of a sheen to it, whereas the low pill fiber from Hobby Lobby does not have that beautiful sheen to it. And I think that's one of the things that really draws me to the Universal anti-pilling or the Premier anti-pilling as opposed to other brands, is that sheen is a very nice softness. It just feels lovely in your hands. This doesn't feel bad, but it's like I said, there's something to it that's not smooth like the Universal yarn. So I wanted to compare the two of these. Now, like I said, this is $3.99. This is $8 a ball. And of course, every other week Hobby Lobby does 30% off their yarns. So you can get this even cheaper, which I did not. I paid full price because I wanted it right then and there. It is the exact same yardage, I believe. 186 yards. That's 6 more yards than this one. So Hobby Lobby, 6 more yards for half the price. This is called Ivy Stripe or color 936. It is 4 ounces, is 186 yards, 100% low pill fiber. I don't know the difference between low pill and anti-pilling. To be completely honest, I have no idea. This also feels a little bit thicker than the Universal, but I'm going to have to work that up to be certain of that. It definitely is more rope-like in consistency. So the Universal feels more squishy and you can flatten it. This feels more rope-like, more dense. So that's going to make a difference when you work it up. Let's see. Recommended hook size 6mm, knitting needles 5mm. What does this say? Does this say 5mm and 5.5mm? So it just recommends a slightly smaller crochet hook. So to be fair to both of them, we're going to use a 6mm, which I have to dig out of my hook caddy. And we're going to go down to the table and I'm going to swatch up both of these and I'm going to use the like colors and I'm going to put them all on the same swatch so that it is a more fair and accurate representation of the side-by-sideness of the yarn. And we're only doing crochet today because I bought this yarn to crochet with, not to knit with. So yeah, let's go down to the table. Okay, so I am freshly lotioned up so that this has a fair shot of both of the yarns. I do this when I do reviews just so that if there's any snagging on my skin or anything, it is minimized by the lotion barrier. That way it is a more fair shot that my hands are more like the average Joe's hands, if you will. Now I'm going to start with the Hobby Lobby because that is what I purchased first. Trying to save myself a little bit of money. And let's see if I can find the center. Nope, I messed up. I grabbed the wrong part. Let's try from this end. There we go. All right, so yes, this feels less grabby now that I have lotion on my hands. And there's the end. Let's see if we can untangle it. Now here's the great debate. Center pole or outer pole? Great debate. Now this yarn appears that it will be self-striping. I don't know how striping it is going to be. Let me bring the color down. There, that's a little bit more accurate. Yes, more accurate. I don't know if the colors are going to fade into each other. I don't know how big the stripes are going to be. Looks like they're pretty big. So, I don't know that I'm going to be able to work up a swatch that is big enough to show you guys the color transfer. The color transferring. I just have a 6.0 millimeter hook because that was what was recommended for the Hobby Lobby. So we're going to use just the 6 millimeter for both of them. It's not going to make a very big difference between the two yarns because one recommends 5 millimeter, one recommends 6 millimeter, or 5. I think it's 5.5. Did I say? Yeah, 5.5 versus 6. Now, even with the lotion on, it's a little grabby between my fingers. Now, this is the Hobby Lobby version. This is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Pill. It's a little grabby in the sensitive parts of my skin. Even with lotion on. Which I kind of predicted that would happen. Ding dang. Keep sliding out. I need to slow down. Slow down, Jennifer. You're going too fast. That's my slow-mo voice. Slow-mo, yeah. See? My brain is even going too fast today. It's squishy. It's definitely squishy. It is definitely causing a little bit of chafing between my fingers. Keep in mind though, I have skin condition issues and my skin is very sensitive, and this might not bother you at all. For me, it's slightly irritating, especially the fast dry crochet. The more it's rubbing in between my fingers. Is it a terrible yarn? No. Will it stop me from using this yarn? No. Double crochets. It definitely is, when I said that it felt very rope-like and round, it still does. And sometimes that's a good thing because sometimes that can accentuate your stitches a little bit and give you a better stitch definition because it's so round that it's not flattening itself out. It will give you stitch definition. So that's a positive. It also is going to give you a thicker fabric, a denser fabric, which if that's something that you want, go for this yarn. Without me throwing this in a bunch of washing machines and drying machines over and over again. I can't tell you if the low pill is the same as the anti-pilling. I can just tell you that I know from experience that the anti-pilling from Universal is very good, and it does not pill. I don't know for the Hobby Lobby. I don't use Hobby Lobby yarns very frequently. I tend to only buy them when they're on really good sale or clearanced out. So it's working up nice. Just slight irritation between my fingers, which is what I expected when I felt it in the ball. So the irritation, because I hold my yarn like this, the irritation is happening where here and here. So right where the yarn is touching. And if I use the yarn too much, I will actually get where my skin peels off and wears away in those areas. And I tell you this gross fact because I want you to be aware that if I don't like something because of the feel on my skin, it's because of those issues. And take that into consideration when I do a yarn review. Because not everyone is going to have that problem. Other than that, it feels nice on this part of my hand. It just doesn't, it's hurting here. But the same thing is, if you guys can see, my skin does peel away very easily when I'm using certain yarns. I'm not seeing like a drastic color change. There is a minor color change from this corner to this corner. So it's lighter here, slightly darker, slightly more tan. I'm not noticing a very big change, but the colors are not drastic. So I think I'm in this part right here. See, we go slightly lighter to slightly darker, I think. This kind of reminds me of like caramel milk is what we're going to say. You know, if you took and you got like a latte that was just a milk latte. And I know nothing about coffee or coffee drinks, so keep that in mind when I'm spewing whatever I'm spewing. It reminds me of like milk with a little bit of caramel in it. If I were to get, because at Wawa is our local gas station, they have what they call shakes. And I get a caramel shake. It's pretty much this color. It's just like a plain milkshake with a little bit of caramel in it. So this is very much a neutral yarn. And I don't know how much I would have to pull out to reach a different color. I know that you can probably hear that squeaking on my hook. That is due to me having lotion on my hands. Let's see. How far do we gotta go? How far do we gotta go? Okay, so what I'm noticing now is as it comes out a little more, it's not solid brown. There's more darker spots of brown on the yarn as we pull out. And then lighter spots. So without me pulling out the whole thing, once you get it out, it looks very just one color. Which, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. So we're just going to stop there before I deskein the whole thing. I am going to bring in the universal, which now feeling the two balls, I don't know. They both say they're 4. No, this one says 3.5 ounces. This one says 4. And there's only 6 yards difference. So this yarn is heavier as a whole. Am I doing the math right? No. It feels heavier to me. I don't know. I don't know. I tried to do something there in my head and I was like, wait a minute. No, that can't be right. We'll see. Oh, see, this has much more color. This has much more color, and I'm pulling something that's not supposed to be pulled. What the heck? What the heck? Alrighty then. So the end on that side, that's supposed to be the outer side end, is pulled and tied around the inner side end somewhere. I don't know what is happening. There's got to be an end here somewhere. Help! There's the end. There. Now, over this side, pull that out, tuck it under the label. I will never understand why they do that. There. Now, pull out a good chunk of this. This is drastically, let me show you side by side. These are both supposed to be a number 4. I don't know if it's going to show. It is. This is the Universal. This is the Hobby Lobby. You see how this one is much thicker? Like, it is much, much thicker. And it feels much thicker. All right, so I'm going to find the end of this again. Right, that ain't it. This is much more colorful. I can see what Hobby Lobby was trying to do, because it feels like Hobby Lobby was very much trying to make a knockoff version of this colorway. And it worked enough that I purchased it. But now that I'm looking close up, the Universal is much more vibrant. It's much more vibrant. And I don't know if that's going to show on camera or not. I'm going to pull my camera back up so I can actually see around it. It's looking on camera very just gray, very neutral. And it is not at all. There are beautiful like yellow tones to this yarn. Much thinner. This yarn is much thinner. Which I don't have a problem with whatsoever. Let's see if we can get a sample big enough so that you guys can actually see the color difference. But I'm going to give it a couple of rows so that I can for sure determine. I almost feel like the Hobby Lobby yarn is so thick that it might need like a 6.5 or a 7mm hook, because I don't like my fabrics real dense. And to me, the 6 feels more natural, more better with the Universal yarn. Oop. Keep sliding out. Now, the Hobby Lobby yarn is very flat, very neutral colored. Because there's no pinks, there's no reds, there's no... it's just... I'm trying to, once again... There, that's more accurate. There's no pinks, there's no yellows. It's just like very neutrally. But I hope you guys can see there is much more depth of color here. There's not like big spots where it's just all one color like there is here. Like in that whole sample is basically one color. This has multifaceted, multi-dimensional color. So there's yellows, there's pinks and yellows, more pinks. It's pretty. It's pretty. And it's definitely showing up in this sample. I will reiterate, the price tag for the Universal yarn is double that of the Hobby Lobby. For me, personally, I don't really like the $8 price tag on it, which is why it took me so long to buy it. However, with my skin conditions and the fact that this is not irritating my skin whatsoever, it is sometimes worth it for me, personally, to buy a more expensive yarn that I'm going to actually use and enjoy using, as opposed to the knockoff, because I'm telling you right now, I'm going to have a hard time using that because it was very irritating to my skin. And I can still kind of feel the irritation where the yarn was rubbing. So I don't want to flare up my skin So to me, the cost is definitely worth it for me not having that wretched skin irritation. But for you, I mean, you have to determine for yourself whether that's worth it to you to pay almost double the price. So I can just give you guys my opinions and you guys go from there. Trust your own instincts. Trust your own opinions. This is very pretty though. I thought when I purchased these that I might be able to mix these together in a project, and I don't think that I would. So now I'm going to take back that statement because I don't think that I would mix these together. I think they would have to be two very separate projects just because the difference in the thickness is so drastic. And that toothiness, like if I'm going to make something out of the Universal, I want it to all feel like that. All right, so there's our two samples worked side by side. It's a little crooked. It's a little crooked. That's because this yarn is thinner. So even though we use the same hook, there is that much difference. That's how much difference that using a thicker yarn, even though they both say they're a number 4, that is how much of a difference you can get from the sample. Is that, like, see that? That will adjust your gauge by, that's almost a ½ inch on both sides, like quarter inch. So let's come on in. Come on in. Now, if I'm closing my eyes, which I'm closing my eyes feeling this. This doesn't feel scratchy to me, worked up. It's got the same softness. Well, it's not as soft as the Universal. It's very close to as soft, worked up and finished. And it's definitely thicker. But yeah, they feel very similar. They feel very similar. You can definitely see the Universal has more of a sheen to it than the Hobby Lobby. But they're a close call. They're a close call. So if you don't have skin problems and that toothiness isn't going to bother your skin, I mean, absolutely try the Soft and Sleek from Yarn Bee, from Hobby Lobby. If not, this is very nice. It feels very nice. And the colors are pretty. The more I'm working up the colors, the more I'm really liking it. Because do you see there's like a lightness here and then a more yellow. And then like the pink comes in here. It's really pretty. Whereas this is just very, very flat in one color. The Universal is much more multi-dimensional colored. So, you guys make up your mind. Buy what you want to buy. I'm probably going to buy some more of the Uptown Worsted Hues. I was hoping Michigan Fine Yarns had some, but they do not. Because I would have very gladly sent my money to her. I have not seen the new colors of the Uptown Worsted Hues. I don't think I found them anywhere. I believe I looked, and the only place they had them was universalyarns.com. And I may have found them on Webs or Lovecraft. I believe maybe Webs, but I'm not positive about that. So yeah, check out Uptown Worsted Hues, and definitely check out Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek. They're both good yarns. They both have some pluses and some negatives. Once again, to recap, the Uptown Worsted Hues is double the price. So the price is the only downfall that I have for this yarn. It is very pretty. And the fact that the colors, the way they are photographed and on the web, are not as accurate as real life. They look much more vibrant on their website. Much more. Those are the things that's the negatives. But it's soft. It's beautiful. It's got a nice feel to it. It works up nice. I prefer the thinness of this over the thickness of that, but that's just a personal preference. The Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek, there is a little bit of toothiness in it. It irritates in between my fingers mildly, enough that it would deter me from using it long term. And other than that, it's a little too thick for what I like for a worsted weight 4, but it's not bad yarn. So that, I know that really didn't help you to make a decision. Well, maybe it did help you make a decision. It didn't really help me. I feel like I didn't make a definitive decision. I like them both. We'll just leave it at that. I like them both. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.